To the I-80 Club, Josh and Jack with you, I-80 Live on this Wednesday night at 8 o'clock as we get this thing rolling. Jack, there's a world where we're recapping a basketball game, but we're not doing that tonight. How are you?
I'm still sad about that. I am very much still. I'm not getting over what happened. And I probably will be a week from now. Because, and Nebraska could have been in the tournament, but we're at least at a point now where even if they had won on Sunday, they could have lost by now today, and I would just be in the same spot I am. And so,
there you go. You pushed off the sadness a little bit,
and maybe a little more tomorrow. But I love this week. I love the concept of being on the bubble this week. I love watching games all day and having rooting interests. And Josh, I have not watched one basketball go in a hoop since the end of that Iowa game.
Not a single ball in a single hoop.
Unless I've accidentally seen it on Twitter, like a highlight. I don't know what happened. I know what happened in one game today because I accidentally saw it on Twitter. I unfollowed every national college basketball person that I follow, or anyone, any bracketology, any, John Fantas of the world, or, I follow a few others. I can't think of any of them at the moment. I unfollowed all of them because I just didn't want to see anything about college basketball. Like, I'm in that place.
Wow.
It is that bad that I am still in the deep grieving process and not over it. Like I usually get over it. Usually the way I usually get over my grief about a game is start to get excited about the next one.
Sure. It's always the part about sports, right? In season, as bad as today was, maybe tomorrow is going to be a little bit better. But when there is no tomorrow, hard to.
There's no real tomorrow. There's some tomorrow, but it sounds weird. So,
yeah,
I'm sure when that actually gets here, I keep forgetting that they're going to play another game, and it is going to be so bizarre if they go to this Crown thing and it's 3 weeks away. Like I've already moved on from the season. Can you imagine waiting another 2.5, 3 weeks, and how far you'll be? Like, it'll seem like a different season to some degree. It's like the end of. It's like sometimes when your team makes a bowl game, which we know how that feels, and it's like they play a game. You're like, geez, I forgot the players on this team. I haven't watched a game of theirs in so long. It's been over a month. That's what this is going to feel like. It's going to feel like a bowl game after the regular season in college football, assuming they go there. So
a couple things. First of all, Husker. Oh, thank God. It would have ruined this pod too. Congrats to the football heads. It's football season now again inside of the I-80 Club. But Jack, I was thinking about you. What day was I thinking about you? Probably Monday morning when I was going for a walk with Banks. Oh, yes, it was, because I was listening to the postgame show. And I was thinking, man, you were rare form, by the way. Shout out to you and Caleb and his shitty internet, and then shout out to you and Bigelow for a little bit as well. But I was thinking, I wonder how long it's going to take Jack to get past this. Because unlike previous seasons that have ended in kind of horrific fashion, the lack of the conference tournament is just this weird wrench in this situation. It's just like, wow, how do you not make the tournament in an 18-team league? And that's where Nebraska finds itself as the season comes to a close.
Yep. You're exactly right. That is what makes it even more. Somehow it feels worse because they didn't make the conference tournament than like the first Fred year, the night before COVID 5 years ago, because they at least had that isn't a good example because the conference tournament.
Because at least they had COVID and influenza.
Right. But like any year that they make the conference tournament, weirdly feel that is such a first time groin kick thing that I don't even know how to treat it. It was weird. I accidentally saw another tweet that the one game I saw is that Iowa beat Ohio State. And I saw this tweet that was like, well, there's like only a few teams have made the tournament with 17 wins. And I was like, well, hello. Like, it couldn't. I'm not.
Okay, good.
But Nebraska had 18, so.
Well, they would have had 18, but they lost, right? They finished with 17.
They got 17 too. They end up with 18.
With 17 win.
Yeah,
oh, man. Right. Baymon, how Husker fan is that statement? At least then we had COVID and influenza. Yeah. So that's the end of the season. Let me ask you. I want to ask you one Fred Hoiberg question, just one, and I hope that this doesn't end up taking over the entire podcast because we do want to talk some football tonight. By the way, if you're hanging out with us after the fact, you're not a subscriber to the I-80 Club. Maybe you stumbled upon this on Husker Max, where I'm writing now. By the way, I'm writing now. My first column went up on Monday morning, and I got it. Jack, I got some stuff in the hopper for early next week. If you're just stumbling upon us, maybe you found our YouTube page because Jack has been killing it with the shorts. This is the I-80 Club. We go a few times a week. The content's gonna slow down just a little bit in the off season. But if you're a paid subscriber, you're gonna get about the same, if not more, than what we have been delivering. That's a podcast on Wednesdays, usually. Podcast on Saturday mornings as well. Volleyball State is now a part of our crew. They put out a free episode earlier this week. You can check that out wherever you download podcasts, but we would very much love to have you, at the very least, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are planning on talking some football tonight. But I did, Connor, noted writer Josh Peterson, I did want to ask you if the way in which the season ended and not making a Big Ten tournament, does it, not that you're going to be a fire Fred guy, you will never demand a coach is fired. Do you understand, I guess, true. Though, people... Do you understand when people want him fired? Like, does that just totally land like antithetical to how you have viewed this entire situation?
Do I understand? Do I understand that why people want it?
Like,
is that what you're asking?
The way I said to John on Monday was, I'm honestly, I have zero strong opinions on this. You could convince me he should remain for many years to come. You can convince me that he should be fired right now. I am very sympathetic to both sides. Are you sympathetic to both sides? I know what side you're on. Are you sympathetic to the other side?
I think reasonable people can want him fired and to move on. Yeah. But I think that's, I mean, I think I suppose reasonable people can think that. And the reason I think that is because the first few years were so poor. And if you include it kind of depends how you look at those. I really think that's the distinguishing factor in terms of how people look at it, is how much they count in those first years in the evaluation. And people who want him are like, well, yeah, obviously you count every year that he did. And so, that's a fair argument. You point to the overall record, point to the overall conference record. It's bad because in large part of those first years, right? The first 3 years, the one that we were just talking about, and then the COVID year after that was really bad, and then the Bryce year after that was not good. And so you really ended up in a hole record wise because of all of that. And so I get that. I don't think it's fully and completely unreasonable. I do think there is a reality, though. If you're a fan of the team, I do think at some point you probably need to accept reality. It ain't happening.
Yes.
And I guess you can
at least not this year.
I guess you can scream about it all off season if you want to, but I don't know exactly how that sounds like. Kind of a crappy way to live as a fan, but people can fan how they want, I suppose. But I for sure understand the argument. I don't think it's completely. I don't think it's, like one of those crazy message board geniuses fire everybody in an unreasonable way thing. So I would say that.
Yeah, I think what you said there at the very end about like screaming in the offseason, the first thing that I think of course, is Trev Alberts deciding to bring back Scott Frost, and the amount of frustration that I felt in that moment in 2021, after the Ohio State game, 2 games left on the year. And I'm like, really, you're going to run this back again? Even though to me it felt really obvious, right? But I did make a promise, I think, to the listeners, but kind of myself too, of like, look, I'm not going to bitch about this. This is the decision. So me hopping on the radio and saying this is stupid, I mean, like, I probably did it sarcastically from time to time, but it would serve no point if John and I just got on the radio and said, Trev Alberts made a huge mistake. This was a stupid decision every single day, all off season. So you have to make peace with it. And then obviously you hope that it turns around, or if it doesn't turn around, that, the athletic director, Troy Dannon, is going to make the correct move and whatever is next, right?
I would be like, I understand if people think he deserves it, but I don't understand. What it's harder for me to understand is that this sort of like doom, now it's never got a shot of happening after what happened the last 2 years. Like that's
what, like him having success never has a shot of happening.
Yes, it's going to be downhill again, right? I've seen it. He's never going to make it successful here. So like there's two ways. I was talking about this when we were discussing it with Dave Fight and some other people. And Dave was posting the records, and I was like, listen, I know I'm never going to convince anyone who was arguing on behalf of whether or not he deserves to stay, because his numbers do not indicate that he's deserving to stay. My analysis is whether or not I think that the program will be better off in the next couple of years with him or with someone they would bring in to replace him. And no one knows for sure, but we all speculate when we think about this. And I think they'd be better off with him. But I think, like Josh, the folks I don't understand is just like, oh man, he's sunk, right? He's a mess. Because the last 2 years, you know, if he's in that area going forward, I think that'll be pretty good for this, right? If he's somewhere in between last year and this year and maybe a little better than it, like, I think that's probably where you kind of want to be if you're Nebraska to some degree. Yeah. Please don't ever do the way you ended this season ever again.
Horrible. 5-12, I think.
Like that part is just brutal, but no, like that's one thing I don't understand. It's just like, man, the dude sucks. They're never going to be good.
What about this from Masturbator? Show me an example of another coach who ended up being successful after making the NCAA tournament one time in 6 years.
I don't know. I believe there are some, but I don't, you know.
Yeah. Baymon, I think it hits on what you feel. I'm over wanting coaches fired. Frost was needed, but I'm over recycling coaches. If Fred does not do it, then I will root for the next coach if and when Mr. Yoger decides it is time for a move.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I'm totally that's how I tend to think. But yeah, I know that's not the norm there. So D'Lo says, what is successful at Nebraska? Yeah, I'm trying to think. Show me an example of another coach who ended up being successful after making the NCAA one time in 6 years. I mean, Danny Nee.
Yeah, that's what Fight says. Yeah.
Like, how about he got here in 86? They went in 91. So 5 years.
Yeah.
And then they went 91, 93, 93. They went all those years all the way up to 98.
4 years in a row.
So,
yeah.
Like, I think he's probably thinking back to the Stumanji analysis of Scott Frost. And
that's what I was thinking of, was like, how like you have all the Frost data.
I'm going to guess in college basketball, that's not quite as foolproof. Would be my suspicion. Oh, well, that was about Bulls, I believe, right?
Yeah. The hard part about this is,
I think
I was going to say the hard part about this is kind of the Nebraska basketball of it all. And that is just like, most programs wouldn't do this. Most programs would not be okay with the first 3 years and only making one tournament. I mean, like NC State just fired a coach who went to the Final Four.
How about Dana Altman?
What do you mean? What about him?
Another one. I don't think he got there. Let's see. Did he get there right away?
Which job are you talking about?
Creighton. Did he get there right away with Creighton?
I'm looking it up right now. Now that was a mid-major job at the time. They made the tournament for the first time in year 5.
Yeah. Okay.
But they were also seeing. I mean, I don't know if this matters, but they were getting better. 7-19, 14-15, 15-15, 18-10 when they made the NIT, and then 22-9, and then they actually won a tournament game their first year, and then they went to 5 straight tournaments, and then it basically went back and forth between NIT and the tournament.
Right. I mean, that was a question I was asking. Like, I just picked 2 coaches within arm's reach of me, basically. So I think there's a lot of them probably to answer the question.
Who's the other one that you brought up?
Danny Nee and Dana Altman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean,
is that different though?
I barely friggin' thought about it. I mean, if I Googled a damn thing, I'd probably have a list of 50.
But, and I don't know if this is helping or hurting my argument that both of those guys, like, they seemed like they were peaking, and look, I guess Nebraska's like 2 wins or 3 wins at the end of the season away from us saying, yeah, the Fred Hoiberg era is peaking right now. Where instead, because of how bad the end of the season was, it feels like they regressed, and so I think going into the offseason and obviously the new roster and how everything's going to turn over, I have to imagine that is playing a large part in this discussion too for a lot of folks. It's just like, I don't buy that they're going to be able to retool on the fly again, and like that's an era thing. Like Danny Nee didn't have to deal with that. Dana Altman didn't have to deal with that. Like Fred or any other coach has to deal with it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's hard.
I don't know. That's my answer. That's my answer to the question. No, I don't completely blame people, but for feeling that way, but I just don't agree. I don't agree.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think it's completely insane that, I mean, now that he, I mean, the argument is you go once in 5 years, but on the other hand, the last 2 years he was, there and a game, 2 games away, 2 shots away from being there. So,
Definitely.
I mean, no, he didn't make it. No, you don't get the satisfaction of it, but it's not like he wasn't, in the complete ballpark of it. So,
yeah. One more for you on this, and then we can get to football. Do you believe that he's going to get it done, or are you just more averse to getting rid of a guy because you hate the door?
No, I just said it. No, I just said it. I think there's a better chance of him being successful in the next, 2 years than a replacement coming in.
Yeah.
So that's 100% of why I believe it. And I, for the record, I also believe that when they fired Tim Miles.
Yes, you've reminded us.
And just balls on accurate. Oh my gosh. Wow. But it's just hard not to pat yourself on the back, even though it was terrible. But,
congrats.
So, but anyway, still people think I was stupid for that. And so what? And now they're like,
I don't actually think anybody does think you were stupid for that. I don't think anyone ever argues with you about Tim.
God, Mike Schaefer, Mike freaking Schaefer. I'll tell you one right off the bat. Mike Schaefer and I have argued about this a billion times.
Still? Like now? Like he still is like
it's probably come up in the last, 2 years, 3 years.
He's filling in for John tomorrow. Maybe I'll ask him about this on the radio. Yep. We'll ask him about this on the radio.
Yep.
So there's Nebraska basketball arguing if Nebraska made the right decision in firing Tim Miles for Fred Hoiberg. God, what a depressing program.
No, you shouldn't. I don't know how you should fire Tim Miles because Fred Hoiberg's so good. 4 years later, Fred Hoiberg sucks. It's time to fire him.
I mean, it is funny that you are defending the guy that you were like, this is going to be a tire fire, and you were right on it. So that part is very, very interesting.
I knew it was going to take a long ass time.
Yeah,
I knew it would. And then we finally got there to the point that I was like, I laid it out for people. I was like, you got to understand, you can go back and find my tweets. I'm like, you're going to go through 2, 3, 4, probably 3 or 4 years of hell. It's going to suck. And we're going to have to go through that. If you're willing to go to that to finally get there, so be it. And it did. And they got there. And then they have a slightly poorer year the next time. And then there's people who want to run it all back. Do it again.
Yeah. Husker Fremu disagrees with you. He says, I just don't understand the desire to keep being 500 to avoid the pain of going 333. Might as well take a shot at getting better rather than settling for mediocre. Now, obviously, this is where I will say I'm with someone like that. But when you and I, whenever we discuss firing coaches, we could not be more on opposite ends. Where I view it like, if you know the guy is a failure or can't get you to where you want to go, cut bait. But some people hate the firing and hiring. I don't give a shit. Like, I want to be good. And if that requires maybe a couple of bad years with potential reward, I go for it. And then I know you're going to say, but Josh, what if it's just always bad? Then you just do it all over again. I don't know why that's hard. Like,
couldn't you try stability once? Couldn't you try it?
Not if they've given me enough evidence that it's bad.
There's no intrinsic value ever to stability. Okay, I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Not in 2025.
Yep, I definitely disagree with that.
Not in 20. I know, and this is
I think
always the part of this discussion.
In some places, at sometimes there's an intrinsic value for stability. Yes.
Yeah. See, I don't care about that, but I as always, I do wonder.
6 years is stability. Yeah, of course it is, Masturbator. That's what I'm saying. There's an intrinsic value of keeping it.
Yeah. As always, I do wonder how much of this
why the F did we talk? Are you getting me in a bad mood? I didn't even think we were talking about this. I don't want to talk about it. I'm getting mad at the chat. Let's move on.
We're talking football. I thought we wanted to put a bow on basketball.
No, I didn't want to, and I especially didn't want to go back to.
I haven't got a chance to talk hoops with you.
How in the hell do we get back to this topic?
Because I hadn't asked you about it. I needed to ask you about hoops.
I feel like we've talked about it for eons, all the time, constantly.
Well, I mean, the season did just end. When football ends, we don't just stop talking about football. It still matters.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, that's.
Well, I mean, I've said my piece. People don't agree. I mean, like, we're at a checkmate. Some people agree with me. Some people don't. Neither of us are going to. It's like politics, right? We're not going to convince each other why the hell we keep going at each other and telling us that we're stupid or we don't know what we're doing.
Because, I mean, we do a podcast, so we're going to disagree.
Like, as the chats keep coming in with arguments that are not going to convince me. So
Connor says it's literally in the teaser. Yeah. I mean, to be fair to Jack, Connor, I didn't create the teasers. Yeah. Jack didn't know. Jack didn't know. Yeah.
No, Husker. I'm trying to get out of it because it's annoying me.
D'Lo says, let's talk 240 already. All right, it's time to talk about the 240-pound elephant in the room, Jack. Look at that smile. He goes from hating his life to happy.
Wow, man. That's rough.
Like that. What stood out to you about Matt Rhule and his little press conference that he did? His 40-minute his press conference yesterday was longer than the recent episode of Severance. What are we doing, Matt Rhule? What are we doing? Come on, 40 minutes.
And I understood them all about the same. Not much. What stood out to me?
Fight says he was more frantic than usual. Yeah, he got a bit rambly.
He meant frantic or frenetic. I'm not sure, but maybe both.
One of those words. Yeah, it's a combination of the two.
I don't know that there was anything, like, as I think back on it, I listened to it all yesterday in terms of what completely stood out. I don't know. Good for I don't know what stood out to you. I guess I don't have a great. I mean, the talk about the GM thing was, I know they're doing it. That's interesting, but the talk about it was boring. That wasn't super interesting to me. I mean, I thought the argument. I know you agree with this because I saw you tweet it. I thought the argument about not playing the Tennessee game was annoying. So that was the rambly
answer. That was a 5 to 6 minute answer. He was all over the place.
I was not down with that argument and like minimizing the value of the Colorado game. I especially
did you see Dirk's response? Did you see what Dirk said to me?
No, I have no idea.
You will very much appreciate this. Biggest win in years, best home experience in years, a huge boost for morale and enthusiasm, and we're fixated on some fuzzy definition of external credit. This stuff is exhausting.
That is well said. Of course it is by Dirk, but
yes,
incredibly well said. Like I keep always saying there's no joyful moments in this program for 10 years. And now I have to make my exception because, Colorado. There was that Colorado game. That was the one shining moment for this football program for a decade, basically. And we're trying to devalue it because didn't get credit for, what does that mean? Didn't get, like we didn't get in, Nebraska didn't get in the playoff because I don't get it. I don't understand. Now, I sort of agree with him because everybody swooned about Colorado, even on our nice Discord. People say, would Nebraska beat Colorado if they played now? I mean, probably, maybe. I mean, I think we saw who Colorado was. They had one of the most ridiculously weak schedules in the Big 12. I mean, just insane. But still, everybody will always fall for them no matter how many times. So I don't know if that was what he was talking about. What was your interpretation of what was even said? People were devaluing it. I guess that's what he said, is that there are probably people who what he meant is there are probably people who thought Colorado had changed and they were better and Nebraska had changed. They were worse since then.
I don't think it was that. I think it was, he said it wrong. I think what he was trying to say is the win was worth about the same as a win over Bowling Green would have been worth at the end of the season. I think that is what he was trying to say. He just said it incorrectly. And he's right about that, right? Like in the end, they were 6-6. They weren't in the playoff conversation. So a win over school X is the same as a win over school, Colorado.
It was also the best Husker football experience of a bunch of people's lives.
Jack, it takes away emotion out of a sport that is full of emotion. And why do we as fans of college football, why do we coming back to that more than we go to the NFL? It's because of the emotion, and it's because of the environment, and it's because of hatred that can be built up over years and years and years. And Huss says it was great, but only because we won. No shit. That's the point.
No kidding.
College football is only great if your team wins. Like, what are we talking about? Obviously, it was only great because but that's the best part about it. You watch the games and you hope that they win. And if they do, you're like, thank God. It's almost thank God they didn't lose, more so than wow, thank God we won. And that night, it was the combination. It was like, hell yeah, we whooped their asses up and down the field. And that's what makes Colorado awesome.
Right. That was like
that game, at least, not Colorado.
It was when we were talking about the Tennessee game, I was like, why are we talking about it as if it's a guaranteed loss? Like, a win is an outcome in games too, right?
No, I'm so sick of this shit. I'm so sick of this shit.
If you've got no confidence you're ever going to win it, why in the F are you talking about what national champions are doing?
Yeah, I don't mean to always call out Fight because he is just the one person that I feel like is on the other side of the argument more than anybody. But Huss said that it was great only because we won. And Dave gave him I agree with you finger point. Dave, I don't understand this. How do you like this sport? How do you want to take away rivalries and big important games just for the sake of stupid wins? Like, it is Jack, it is baffling to me how playoff brained and win brained this place has become. Oh my gosh. How do you watch college football if that is what you want from it? More than anything else. God, he says I'm a sicko for a 70-14 plus. This is disgusting. You are monsters. You people are absolutely monsters. And unlike Jack, I don't want to change the subject. I want to keep having this conversation. God, it is so wild, man. It is so stupid. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean,
don't get it.
And to say Ohio State and Michigan won the national championships and point out that they didn't do it. Yeah, but they're in a different place. They don't need to I mean, Josh, I think that can be true. Is programs that are at the top of the pile or close to the top of the pile need those games less for a variety of reasons. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, and I would also say this: go look at Ohio State and Michigan schedules in 2025, because that shit doesn't hold water. It was just random years. I don't know why Ohio State didn't have a power school, and I don't know why Michigan didn't have a power school. But do you know who they had this year, Jack, in the first 2 weeks of the season? Ohio State has Texas, and Michigan has Oklahoma. So, give me a fucking break with this shit. Oh, my gosh. I just don't understand it, man. And you've been going to games for years, and I don't go to games anymore. But, Dave, again, I'm just going to keep arguing with him. I watch Nebraska. If there are other games on, great. If not, did Nebraska win? You cannot tell me that you did not approach that game or leave that game walking out of Memorial Stadium feeling incredible. You cannot tell me that you weren't like, hell yes. Not only did Nebraska win, but it happened over the team that I despise. And for some, they hate Colorado more than they hate any team. They hate any team in the country. And so, that's the part that it's just you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that because you want to win over Bowling Green? Okay, I guess we fan in different ways. And I shouldn't yuck people's yums, but man, I just don't get it.
I don't know. Until Nebraska, I'm not that worried about the playoffs until Nebraska really shows that they're going to contend for it, right? And so if I don't know, I'd rather just at least get a game, but it's also got a high upside if you would win it. That's the other insane thing. Again, you could win.
Yeah. You're not going to lose.
Really considering that you're going to lose it, and if you're guaranteed going to lose it, you shouldn't be thinking about the playoff anyway. That's can I still think about the Colorado game in a positive way, or was it a bad choice all along?
Yeah, Nebraska didn't get the credit. Nebraska didn't get the credit.
Should we delete our halftime show?
Yeah,
for the Colorado game.
Still one of our most watched things we've ever done.
Hey, it wasn't a good choice for the program.
No. Well, to be fair, we did after that. The team did kind of take a step back. So, if people are
because of that, because of that game,
yeah. Husker why is Rhule even worried about the CFP? That was a weird answer. That whole answer was very strange.
That's what I'm saying. Just you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt if you're not playing anybody, right?
Yeah.
If you're on the line.
I didn't even mean to turn this discussion into another referendum on the Tennessee series. But man, I just get so tired of the
conversations 2 in a row now.
I know. I just get so tired of I'll give you a new one in a sec. I just get so tired of Indiana made the playoff and they were 11-1. It's okay, do you understand that they had to walk a tightrope of losing just one time to make it to the playoff? If Indiana would have slipped up to one other team, they would have not made it. They were the 10 seed. Indiana is not some school to hold up as why can't we be Indiana? Okay, get an insanely beneficial schedule and also take advantage of it. Because you know what Nebraska does every year, Jack? They take advantage of their easy schedules. Oh, look at this schedule on paper. It looks like another easy one. All they got to do now is go 11-1. All right, good luck. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it because you never do it. They barely went 6-6 last year. They can't go 8-4. What are we talking about? Come on.
Listen, give me a few years of getting close to the playoffs and just missing, and then maybe I'm going to be a little bit more interested in this conversation. But until they step it up a few notches, they need to at least give their fans the best experience that they can have. Because, we're not getting any dividends any other way from being fans of Husker football and men's basketball. So give us at least a good, interesting game that we can look forward to. Maybe until it happens and maybe through after it happens.
I have a screenshot from my radio show earlier today, and it actually includes a Dave comment that I agreed with, but another one from one of my listeners. And I wanted to read these two to you, Jack, because I kind of want to talk about the psyche of Rhule for a moment, where one of my listeners, Dwayne, said, it feels like Rhule feels like he's on the hot seat. I hope that's not the case, but that's the vibe I get. Whereas Dave said, Rhule is realizing that the key to job security is not letting the fans get everything they want. I wonder what you think about those two comments in particular, but I guess the first one was the one that was like, wow, that's interesting. Is Rhule talking like a coach who feels like he is? I think hot seat is too strong. I would say like, in a like a make or break type season. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably feeling it. But he's always done this thing where he's got this style of like, when he talks, you can see his brain thinking through the implications of everything he might say and how someone might interpret it. And I think there's always a little of that style that might look like that always with him. But I don't disagree with him. I'm sure he's feeling incredible pressure right now. Yeah. This is not gone. This is not started like he wanted it to. And so whether it's the actual hot seat or it's just pressure, I mean, I feel like that's just kind of that's just nomenclature right now for the whole thing. So, what I noticed, Josh, is people are, man, it's so funny because I remember talking to you his first week after his first press conference. Maybe it was right after his first press conference. And you were like, all this stuff is positive now, right? And it's what attracts you to him, but it's almost like when you've got a new partner, a new romantic interest, like all these things are cute and you like about them at the beginning, but those are the things that eventually become the annoying things about them. And you kind of said good Rhule is the pastor's son, bad Rhule becomes a used car salesman when people get tired of him. And I feel a lot of that. I feel a lot of that right now. And it goes to even the things that we talked about, like the critiques about doing too many interviews and stuff. Like there are people with a real short patience for him right now, and just sort of the personality. And even we saw things like, Rhule likes himself, likes to hear his, sound of his own voice. Those sorts of things have been out there. There's a lot there. Like it's not going to take long. Once again, if things go bad with their great easy schedule, if things go poorly, for it to get to a pretty, I think, intense spot in terms of the hot seat and the criticism.
Royals girl a few minutes ago said, where is that? Honeymoon is over. Connor says the seat heater is turned on low. Yeah. Baymon says, I do not think he feels he is on the hot seat. I seriously think the internal pressure he puts on himself is way more than anything externally.
I think that could be true.
Yeah. I don't think he's on the hot seat. I definitely, and this is, I guess, a little tease for the next thing I'm writing for Husker Max. I think that year 3 is going to kind of foretell whatever the rest of the era is going to look like of Matt Rhule football. And I think that you can look back at the coaches since Solich and it's kind of done that. So that's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, because year 3 is always important, right? It's like the roster is more of yours than in the old days, the roster was more of yours than it was the old coaches. But you're moving into a different spot. And he continues to mention the year 3 thing at other stops and how, hey, I usually have good year 3. Like, just knowing how this place works, he is setting himself up for that to be thrown back in his face if it doesn't, which I find really interesting. And you and I did the exercise on Saturday's pod where we went through, like, the roster is not barren of returning players. Like, it's not as empty as maybe
this ain't the basketball roster. This ain't the basketball roster. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So that's pretty interesting in all of it. But yeah, I think year 3 is obviously going to be absolutely massive. Absolutely massive.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. And that is the interesting part about it is, like, again, the roster. I don't know how people feel about the roster coming into this year. They're just saying, well, it's the same guys as last year that didn't do as well as we wanted them to in a lot of cases, but it's not in every single case. And as we did on Saturday when we went through the defense, it was just like, well, there's still, I mean, they lost Ty Robinson, but there's more back than it felt like we realized. And on the offensive line to some degree when we talked about it too.
Yeah, definitely. Which could end up being a super big positive. D'Lo says, as I scroll back up, hot take, Dylan won't be back in 2026.
I mean, there are scenarios certainly where that could happen.
You want to talk about another guy who doesn't really have savior status anymore. Yep. I can't even tell people like him anymore. 100%. I think people kind of hate him.
Yep. Yeah. That's how I feel. I mean, I'm not saying I do, but I get that vibe from people about Rhule and Dylan to some degree now.
Yeah.
Certainly nobody's excited. It doesn't feel like.
No, I don't think
Right?
so either. Yeah. That's a good point. Are people excited about the 2026 season? Or 2025 season. I feel like last year we were pretty jacked for it, weren't we? We were like, look at this new quarterback. No, not to bring it back. Colorado's coming into town. Like, we were pretty pumped about all that stuff. Dave Fight says it's cool to piss on Dylan.
Definitely.
I think that is 100% true.
Yep.
You know, Pardon My Take did it during the Super Bowl. When you're a cynical sports fan, yeah, he's become
but it's
quite
cool.
the
It's even
punching bag.
cool within the Nebraska fan community.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, hell, D-Lo does it like every other podcast that we record. I mean, we began this conversation by saying 240. So, right. Yeah, it definitely is a thing right now.
Yep. Yeah, there are a bunch of – I had not seen that joke, Dave. Wow. Man, well, I mean, this goes without saying, but I hope he proves I'm all wrong, man. I hope he comes out there and he looks like he did at the beginning of last season, healthy. And listen, I'm sure if he needs to lose 10 pounds, and Rhule wants him to do it, I can't imagine that's going to be all that difficult, right? For him with the training and everything. Like, they'll just tell him exactly what to eat and exactly what to do, and he'll lose it. So
yeah. Matt says, I think his star has fallen. If he makes a huge jump, sure, he could leave, but then he'd be a villain. If he improves, but only a bit, he couldn't jump to a way more successful program and be the starter. I'll disagree with the latter. I mean, if he gets even a little bit better or remains the same, I mean, it's not like he had a great year one, and I think the smoke about other schools being interested in him was very real. Jordan says people were higher on Adrian going into year two than Dylan. That is 100% true. People were jacked about year two of Adrian Martinez. I don't sense that with Dylan Raiola right now.
I'm not sure what Husker Huss is mad about. The fan base is clearly the problem. I mean, I don't think the fan base is the problem. I don't know that there is a problem right now necessarily, but I just know what the perception is of him right now between the way last year went, between the way he's out in public. People don't like Rhule and Dylan out there in public, right? When they didn't have a great year. Like, I'm not really saying a whole lot more than that, but I'm right about that. As per usual. So, yeah.
And I would say this, if you don't like it,
like, I don't get it.
It's March 12th, like we got a long ways to go. We got a long ways to go until we get to the season. So he's still going to be out there. Rhule will talk probably every week or so during spring camp, and then they'll finish up, and then he'll talk a few times during the summer, and he'll probably go on the national shows. Maybe he'll go on a great local radio show in Lincoln, Nebraska.
That'd be
between
nice.
the hours of 6 and 9. And
That'd
I'm not talking
way.
about the other one that's on from 6 to 9. I'm talking about Jack Mitchell's. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that. Yes, I got you back, Jack.
Yeah, like, and, Theo said the Baby Gronk collab didn't help. Yeah, that's really been kind of the only thing that I'm like, oh man, seriously? Ugh.
Well, that him running and celebrating at the stadium. You, as we know,
true.
the Facebook hype was not happy with you on that one.
I was a lot more bothered than that than I am sitting in the front row of basketball games. I'll tell you that, or going to high school basketball games. I'll tell you that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm in the minority on that one. So.
Yeah.
I think you should
college kids should not have fun.
Like, that's a crazy thing. Like, I mean, I think that's if you were in his situation and needed stuff to do to stay out of trouble, that is exactly what I would do. Is
100%.
go to sporting events.
100%.
And go to high school games. And, of course, soak up the fun of being the celeb there.
Yes,
right?
100%.
Of course you would.
Yeah. There are 24 hours
I don't
in a day.
blame him a second for that.
A basketball game lasts 2 hours. People love managing others' time, especially if that player, took a step back. And so I think that a lot of it comes down to just that, is that he did not look very good at the end of the season. And so, they want to manage his time as well as possible. But, I mean, if you believe Rhule, he's still putting in all the work.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
D'Lo, are EJ and Dylan Raiola getting compensated for these appearances? It's also just those two. Today they looked so bored. Were they at the high school stuff today?
I also have wondered that too. But from who? Why would that happen?
That would be so weird.
I wondered it about with some of the volleyball stuff. I did. Actually, I've never wondered it with high school stuff, but yeah.
That would be crazy. That'd be crazy if he was getting paid to go to Supernovas games in Omaha, or basketball games.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm involved in the chat right now. Husker is like really mad at me because he thinks people are shitting on the season already. Am I doing that?
I don't think so.
I think I just said I think people are being overly critical of Dylan right now, and I think and hope he's got a shot at having a much better season. And then I just talked about how good the defense is. What? Yeah. Help me,
Jack. I don't think this is about you. I think it's about sense. Me. I think it's me. I think it's me.
He was talking to me. He just
Jack, that one comment where he said about the celebration. The majority of the converstion tonight has not been about your team.
Okay,
well, Jack, what's going on with you? What the hell? Let's go. Why aren't you happy?
Like I kind of am. I think I'm not negative about the football season.
That certainly seems like it, according to Huss.
For
the record, I don't think that Huss was mad at you, Jack. I don't think Huss was mad. I don't think that the conversation.
Told me I had a terrible take.
That was one take.
Okay, whatever. There's
one take.
But it's okay. You can. Yeah,
see, not you, Jack. I'm pissed at everybody. Jack, come on.
Well, you told me I had a horrible take. I'm responding. Listen, you tell me I have a horrible take. You know by now I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond.
Yeah.
To that, and I'm going to respond to that a lot. So
I know how it works.
No, it's not bad. I disagree. Your take is terrible.
D'Lo says Jack is pissed he lost that dumb Severe poll. Is it that, Jack? Is it that you went down on Michael Severe?
That's definitely it.
He keeps trying to defend. I don't want to talk about this because I don't really care. He keeps talking about your seating. Like, Jack only does one show. It's like, yeah, but his appearance is pound for pound.
He keeps talking about it. Who's talking to him about it? I've not seen one thing about this.
Yeah, well, he every time that you come up, he's always like, yeah, it's the seating. You know, he only is on your guys' show.
Where is this happening?
There was probably criticism from other people. I have no idea, Jack. This is something that I have not engaged in at all. I've not engaged in at all.
Okay, well,
I do vote. I guess I do vote, so I guess I engage slightly. If it's a matchup that I actually care, then I'm like, I'll vote for this person.
The more fun thing about it is not that; it's the Bigelow beating Mitch Sherman.
Man, after he went after him on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm riding Bigelow to the whole thing. Now
I thought Mitch's joke was funny. For the record, and I've told this to Bigelow, that joke was funny. I can't imagine getting mad about it because he's a football guy. That joke was funny to me.
That's not why it just made me angry and sad, but
okay. Yeah.
Because I have strong feelings about the takes on the I-course comment. I'll defend Sean I-course on that one.
I will too. I'm with you, man. I'm with you, but I think you can still make fun of it.
The joke was Husker from you asked what the joke was. Sherman was saying that they were talking about Fran McCaffrey being on the hot seat, but they said watch. I don't remember what it was, but it's something about they had to evaluate where Nebraska was.
Yes. A callback to I-course saying the same thing about.
I didn't like it because it'd be a really good burn from an Iowa fan. That's all.
Yeah. But it was funny. I mean, he's a journalist. He's allowed to make jokes about Nebraska.
I know. And I'm allowed to be not
triggered by it.
Yeah, I'm allowed to be triggered. And
I know.
I'm not mad at him.
You've been triggered the whole pod tonight. It's been the Triggered Show with Jack Mitchell and sidekick Josh Peterson.
I don't know if I have. Other people on the chat have been, I would say.
Keena, Jack triggered? Yeah, who knew? It's a new Jack.
Well,
you told me we weren't allowed to talk basketball anymore earlier. You seemed a little triggered earlier in the pod.
Oh, okay. Yes, I am tired of that topic. I'm tired of that topic.
God,
the same way I'm arguing with people, or discussing, stick to sports, but arguing about if Trump is good or bad with people. It's a worthless discussion.
Hey, people are so bought in.
People are so bought into their position. Nobody's changing their mind. Why do we even talk about it? Anyway, it's not going to change. So
Bigelow, who is here right now, says thinking it was a good joke comes down to how football-pilled your brain is. No, it does not, Jacob. It comes down to if you have a sense of humor or not. That was a funny tweet from Mitch. Dave says, I've been triggering Josh. Dave has been triggering me. For months, he's been triggering me about this topic. It is very upsetting. It's very upsetting. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I expect more from Dave. I don't expect more from everybody. Dave, though, I always feel like very level-headed, solid opinions. I don't agree with them all the time.
You're talking about the Colorado thing or the Tennessee thing again?
Yeah, well, because I'm reading comments right now, Jack. Yes.
Yeah, I was just making sure. I was just trying to check. It's called like a rejoiner. It's helping people understand who are just tuning in and figuring out what you're talking about.
Matt says, I embrace these low expectation. There you go. Jack, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Everything is triggering everybody tonight. There is nothing to take away that is positive. Do you have any happy things to say?
I'm looking forward to the football season. I think the defense is stacked.
Wow,
Not
interesting.
Stacked. I think
way to go out on a limb.
I think I think the defense is going to be better than anyone's talking for. I feel better about Phil Snow now that I've heard him talk. We've talked about all this stuff before. Dane Key excites me. I just wish they had put a running back in there. There's a lot of stuff about this football team that even though I know it's not the consensus, but because you don't have a 5-star quarterback that you've never seen before coming in, right? But again, even people aren't. We talked about this in another one of the podcasts. Maybe it was the last one, but it's like I feel like Key especially, but the whole group of receivers is comparable, if not better, to what they got last year in Banks and AR. But it feels like the hype for those two was way higher than the current receivers, And I think that's probably just because they had Raiola with it.
Yeah. Yeah, the shiny new toy of it all is not really there with the football team. And Jack, I know I've said this to you, and so I don't mean to just keep repeating because tonight's pod has just been us repeating ourselves. But, dude, if they hire Dana Holgorsen on January 1st, the excitement for the offense is way higher than it is right now.
That was right, too. Yeah,
because I heard it in November.
100%. No, it's a good call. Isn't it crazy how much we condition our excitement sort of involuntarily on whether or not we've seen, like, just the possibilities that could be there. And then once you see it for the first time, it's like it's like driving a new car off the lot, right? It automatically loses 20% of its value. Dana Holgorsen coaches one game and he loses 20% of his hype just by calling one play in a game.
That is a great point. Yeah. And that it happened at the end of the year. You had what, 4 games, 3 in the regular season. And what would you say? His offense was good in 1.5 of them? Like, I don't know. Like, how many good games he had? Obviously, Wisconsin was great. The Wisconsin game was awesome.
Yeah, they looked a lot better. I don't know. I thought the offense generally looked some better. Like that's an interesting question. Like, how
was the offense better?
How do we review the short tenure of year 1 of Dana Holgorsen? And
great question.
Again, he was put in, but you also, I think, have to factor in that he was put into a situation where, he's jumping right in.
He had to learn plays.
He didn't know the player's name. Weird. He didn't know the running back coach's name. He had to learn plays. He's got no idea who's good at what, all of those things. And so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit on that whole thing. And he's got a pretty extensive resume. And so that's one thing that you could be excited for, Josh, is that Holgorsen has the amount of time that he has to prepare and be aware of the hand that he's been dealt.
The names of his players, what they do well, what they don't do well, develop a playbook based on that specifically is going to be, it's just like, it's a totally different world for him. And that could mean, a pretty significant bump up for him. And working with Dylan directly, right? As well. Yeah. Maybe that's something that's a positive for both of them. So, yeah. Damon says he could not immediately install his system. I do not understand why we even think he needs the benefit of the doubt yet. For the record, this is not a, let's have a discussion about how good Dana Holgorsen is. I think that you brought up a great point, in terms of just how do we feel about him, but it was very much an incomplete for me because I've never seen a situation like that before. A guy takes over as offensive coordinator and he wasn't even on the staff. Again, John and I think you and I did it, multiple times. Like, we want, if somebody has research that can give us another example of this, like, show it to me. I don't think that had ever happened in college football before. And so I'm super excited. Like, you want to talk about huge reasons for optimism for me? Dana Holgorsen would be number 1. Yeah. Honestly, I think he would be the number 1 biggest reason for optimism.
I agree.
He's going to have an entire offseason to install his offense. He has a wide receiver coach that I think he very much likes / trusts now. They have, and I know we said this last year, famous last words, they've upgraded the wide receiver room, and they've, some of the pieces that they've added in the portal, and I did that piece for Husker Max over the weekend, and I went through all the things that have happened this offseason. It was a great reminder to me of like, okay, look at the guys that they have added. And I think the kid in particular from Notre Dame, Spindler, like that is a really good get. Happer said on his radio show today, the guy was playing for a Natty not even 2 months ago. And now he's in Nebraska's offensive line room. So I think that stuff's pretty interesting.
He sat down. I watched him talking to the media too. It didn't seem like a weirdo or anything, or like there's some obvious deal with this guy. And so, that was another thing where I started to actually go through the offensive line. I was like, wow, okay, so they got a weird combination of transfers of like guys who have been in the program for 20 years and then like guys who are just ready to start playing. And that's how the offensive line, that's how I would describe the offensive line right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, man, maybe it's a better situation. Maybe it's just a better situation, Josh, without the hype. And just going into the season, expectations going to be a little lower. What are they? I mean, you think they're going to start getting rated occasionally on some of the top 25s when they can come out? I'm sure they've already been way too early ones, but or where do you think they're going to be put in the Big Ten? In
middle of the pack.
I guess they don't do the divisions anymore. I was going to say in the West, but we were a year out of that.
Middle of ninth, 8th, 9th, somewhere in there. I don't think they'll be ranked.
I haven't started digging into the rosters yet enough to know exactly. I mean, obviously Ohio State and Oregon and Michigan.
I think there is a bit of buyer's remorse from some of the folks. And, I think KOTN is a good example of this. KOTN was very much, in on Nebraska in the offseason, especially friend of the pod, Doug Maurice. And then they got off to that start, and he was like, hell yeah, we're all in on Nebraska. And then I think that, again, they lost the benefit of the doubt. I think they lost some of that trust. D'Lo, oh boy, here we go. Because I mentioned KOTN, only the best college football podcast out there.
Is that what that's about?
I think so. That'd be my guess. But no, I don't think they'll be ranked. I don't think they're going to show up in, but a handful here and there. But I don't think they will be like a darling. Illinois is the darling. Illinois is going to be like a playoff team for a lot of people. But yeah, Nebraska definitely won't.
Okay, D'Lo. I saw one of those like way too early rankings and they had them ranked. So I don't know what it was.
You're just asking a question.
I didn't in the AP poll.
Yeah, you're just asking a question.
I just meant there's going to be a million. Are you going to see some of them where they're ranked? And the answer to my question is yes. You're right, Jack. Sorry. I just wanted someone else.
D'Lo gets so mad about the weirdest crap. We do this every GD year. Jack was just asking, will we? Not will.
I'm not even saying they should be.
Yeah, you're just wondering.
I think everybody's being triggered about what I'm saying tonight. To be honest, I feel very calm. Watching Nebraska baseball, 5-4, top of the 9th, by the way.
Are they up?
Yeah, they're up. Top of the 9th. It's exciting. They got a good crowd there. Nice.
Tina says it's the time change. Is that what it is, Jack? Are you a little sleepy? You're probably sleepy.
No, God. Well, yeah, I'm sleepy, but I'm always sleepy. It's not because my sleep life is way too dysfunctional to be affected by 1 hour is different here. Like I do not understand that life.
What does Bane say? I was born in it. I was molded by it. That's how you are with bad sleep.
I've got the wildest dysfunctional sleep life between waking up at the ass crack of dawn and insomnia and my dog waking up. You think 1 hour is really going to screw up my life? Nah. Nope.
Well, that's good. That's good. Husker from you says Illinois will shit the bed. They will undoubtedly shit the bed. That will be one. I feel like by August, Jack is going to despise the Fighting Illini, and he will be rooting for their demise. Not on the level of Wisconsin, but certainly on the level of some mildly hated teams over the last 4 years.
Wait, why would I hate Illinois?
Because people are going to be all over them over the course of the offseason. Yeah,
are they?
You're just not listening to anything. Stop watching that baseball, Jack.
No, I was reading the comments. I was trying to figure out why we were talking about Illinois.
Because I brought him up.
It's circular. I missed that. Do you think people will be all over Illinois? Is that going to be the hot team this year?
Dude, go look at the early preseason rankings.
I'm not reading a whole lot of that. I read a few right when the season ended, which was like the way too early stuff, and I saw one with Nebraska on it. But
people are putting them in the playoff, man.
Who, Illinois?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you meant Illinois or Nebraska. Jeez, why is everyone so triggered by everything I say?
Yeah.
No, it had some attitude to it, I thought. Anyway,
because you haven't been listening to me the last.
What are your playoff teams from the Big Ten? Ohio State, is it Michigan now? Is Michigan ready to go back?
They're getting put into some playoffs.
Ohio State, sure. Michigan, USC.
No,
USC,
Penn State.
Right? USC,
Penn State's the sexy team. Oregon,
Indiana. We got like 7 teams in. What do we got this year?
Yeah, that's
gonna be like the SEC and the NCAA tournament. The entire conference.
About 7 of the 12.
The entire conference except South Carolina's in the NCAA tournament.
Skurzo Forest, the returning production crap media is piling on Illinois. They're definitely doing that. Keena, quoting you or me. You're not listening. You. I'm trying to figure out why people in the chat are talking about Illinois. Me, because I brought them up.
But I was reading the chat and whatever.
Can you imagine? Whatever. Hey, there's got to be someone out there who's a first-time listener of this podcast, and they're like, "Wait a second, they have people who pay for this stuff," and the answer to that is yes. The answer to that is yes. Royals girl. Are Jack and Josh an old married couple? I think we might be.
I
thought John was my work husband, but maybe you're my work side piece.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just at the nighttime.
Yeah, that is true.
You got a day.
It's Saturday mornings for some reason.
And Saturday mornings.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
It's the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a runner on. Wichita State's going to deliver a going kick right here, I have a feeling. I think it's coming. By the way, we have a lot of intense Husker baseball fans in the Discord.
Do we? I had that channel muted. What's going on over there?
There is a lot of in-game chat that even I can't hang with.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, I don't know. I assume it's going on right now.
There's one comment
in
the game tonight. Man, that chat is popping tonight. Corey says, I see the offense is trying to score all your runs in the first inning and see if you can hold on strategy again. Bold move. That was the first comment in 13 hours.
Josh's out on baseball. Yeah, you don't want to talk about how they're going to replace McConaughey's innings?
No, I want to talk about should Will Bolt be on the hot seat. That's my kind of topic.
There it is.
Should they fire Will Bolt?
There it is. No, they shot it. I don't know. He did win the Big Ten championship last year, but I don't know.
He did.
I am not going to be able to. I probably can't get the dander up on that one, Josh. I'll be honest, to keep him. So we can end the stereotype about me on that.
Okay.
If they make a move, if things don't go well, if they have a losing season, I think they should make a move. How's that sound?
That's solid. I like that. Look at that. Put that on the board. Jack Mitchell wants Will Bolt fired.
There you go.
Gosh, who cares? What's women's soccer doing? Huss is so football pilled. I love it,
Good
baby.
Lord.
He
wants a football conversation, yet everything we say pisses him off about football. But then when we're not talking about football, that pisses him off. You can't win with this
how
dude.
Much is Krista weigh? Fight says Dannon isn't firing anybody this year. I agree with that wholeheartedly. We've talked a little bit about the rev share stuff.
You're not wrong, Husker for MU. I don't appreciate that. A little too young for my liking. Me and Scott Frost would take that and we would go with that brim.
Yeah.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, you got to get that bill going, that Ben going. Matt says, this makes me enthused to finish editing that Michigan State Be Kind Husker rewind I'm working on. I don't know if that's a compliment to us or a diss to us, but that is very nice. That is a great reminder that as we get into the offseason, we're going to be doing
2012? 2012,
yes. Yeah, we're going to be doing some different stuff this offseason. Jack and I are working on some projects, and now that I've moved in and settled, I'll be really starting to dive into mine very, very shortly. So we got some fun stuff cooking for the rest of the offseason.
I could dive into mine, but I got another job, and I keep screwing around with DJ stuff. So
you do, dude. You do a lot of DJ stuff. Are you doing another one on Friday?
I don't know. Actually, the one last Friday didn't go that well.
Really?
Sad to say.
How come?
Sad to say. I think I tried. Well, I think I must not have been doing that good. People were leaving during it. Crowd wasn't real big. Yeah, it didn't feel like the party atmosphere of the other ones. I was very stressed about getting everyone's requests in, and I don't think it was. I need to just flow. I need to let I just need to say to myself, Jack, you're an artist. You do the art. Nobody tells you how to do the art. You do the art. Okay.
There you go.
And so I think that'll be more of what I do next time.
Mark says everyone is on the hot seat, including Jack and Josh.
Damn.
Well, we did, Jack. I don't think I told you this. We lost a couple of old school subscribers today.
Good Lord. What a kick in the balls.
I know. I don't know what their names are. I know this guy, Ryan, a guy named Ryan, and then a guy named, I don't know, something else. I was like, wow, what's going on here? Some of these old
exit interview.
Nothing yet. It didn't show up right away, so maybe we'll see.
You know who I miss? Pass the damn ball. Remember him?
I do remember Pass the damn balls? What's that person's real name?
I think I know it, but I'm not going to say it.
Like the first name? You don't want to say the first name?
I don't. I don't actually don't.
That's fine. If you don't want to say,
I know who he is on Twitter, and I think yeah.
What happened to that guy? Was he sad because Nebraska sucked?
I think he just wanted to do less social media, so
yeah,
he left, and
here we go.
He defended me all the time.
Yeah. Now I know why you miss him. There was one feedback from one person. Love you guys and keep pumping out great content. Just don't have the time to stay to date on podcasts in the Discord like I used to.
Sad.
That is.
And who is that? What was the username? At least
I don't know. It just it gives me their real name on Patreon, so I don't know. because maybe they're really lame.
We're hemorrhaging people. We're arguing with the chat. It's the downfall.
Yep.
This was the day the downfall started.
Yeah.
And Volleyball State took all our power.
Yeah. Connor, do I need to acknowledge the stuff with Sam? Because Connor writes #free Lachune. Sam is not banned. I just told him he was banned because he said that the Cowboys owner is going to be Kid Rock. And so what has he done all day? This weird bit. That's all he's done. He's not even banned. He's just posting that he's banned. God. Over and over. And now he's not even here. He's probably asleep right now. He's got to wake up at 3 a.m. to go for a run.
I find that hilarious.
Husker from you, Sam. Weird. Yeah, excellent.
I'm to the point now, though, Josh. Like I've seen like 20 things about that, and it doesn't even register anymore. I'm
that's
like,
my favorite part. Is just how many people don't respond.
I'm just like, that's some bit I don't get, and it's fine. Yeah, and it's fine if he does it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, JB says, I was looking for the comment from Sam banning Josh, and I couldn't find it. That explains so much. Yeah, actually, it's in here somewhere. Let me scroll back. Because, if you missed it, Mike Schaefer and I did a National Fun League earlier this morning, the first time since the Super Bowl. And he was saying that Dallas's owner should be Kid Rock. And I said banned. And then that's where it started. Yeah, here it is. I can tell you. Hilarious. Oh, I found. I will post a screenshot of this, and I think people are going to understand that it's actually okay that I did this. So yeah, that's what happened.
Whatever.
For those who are wondering why is he doing this beyond
just
that's what Sam.
You know how I knew he wasn't banned? Because he was typing that he was banned.
He was still
constantly.
typing that he was banned. Yes, exactly. Yes. Also, I don't think you and I have ever banned anybody.
No, in fact, people have been mad that we sometimes haven't banned people.
Don't ban people. Yeah. Keen, I'm going to eat it Shogun in memoriam.
That's
good Lord.
Good. Okay, that's officially that is my number one Sam bit. The Shogun thing.
No, I hate that bit.
No, I love that bit.
Jordan, it was funny the first time. Keena says it's the repetition that gets you. All right. Matt says to say he's unbanned. All right, you know what? Let's let him know. You're unbanned. There we go. All right, now we can move on. Does he get his month prorated?
All I was waiting is just for you to say that. It's like the thing in Wayne's
I know.
World.
I was going to just not acknowledge him, but you know what? I lost the staring contest. He won. He won the staring contest.
It's just like in Wayne's World when he's like, "I love you, man," and they're like, "Just say thank you, thank you." That's essentially.
He's going to be so excited at 3 a.m. Yeah, he's probably asleep right now. Huss says, Oliver.
Dude, that's right.
Dude,
I wake up in the morning and I look at the club at 4:45 and San Martin has like 5 posts.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing. It's amazing.
Baymont says still want #free Lachune merch. All right,
that's
well
fine.
we need to get some Volleyball State merch going too, so we can just get all the merch.
But we need to get at Volleyball State everything going.
We do.
Because if you're probably not aware because you don't see it, but they continue to add subscribers.
Yeah, we have a lot of Volleyball State subscribers. Now, they're not watching this pod because they're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to.
They don't have access.
I keep thinking maybe some of them are going to be curious and like, "Ooh, what's going down in the rest of this?" But
so far, they've definitely just engaged with the pods, not so much with the Discord. But it is also March, and I bet this place is going to be popping when we get to August and September. It's going to be bonkers around here. I have an idea, Jack, for a new podcast inside of the club that I need to tell you about for football season. So I already started working on a graphic.
Will it be weird when we pay the Volleyball State people 3 times what we make on this?
Well, it'll be a good problem to have.
Because we may be going to that spot.
They're doing a great job for us.
Baseball reaction. Nebraska baseball won. Sorry, don't leave Huss.
Just kidding.
Don't quit. They won.
All right,
it's a powerhouse program.
Look at that. We'll bolt off the hot seat. We love to see it, folks.
Just with that win. That did it.
That was I-80 Live. Did people like it? Do people like it? Did people enjoy this episode? I hope so. It was fun to yell a little bit. I yelled at some of our subscribers. Jack got all emo because he doesn't want to talk about firing Fred Hoiberg, and he wants to remind everybody he was right about Tim Miles.
Fight everyone. I'm tired of fighting everyone.
Yeah,
I do it all day, everywhere.
I know your show. I think fighting about politics on your show. I think you were politics pilled today on the pod tonight.
Dave, I love getting yelled at a podcast. Yeah, the amazing thing is that it wasn't by me.
Yeah.
What are the chances of getting yelled at on one of our podcasts and it not being by me?
Yeah, that is pretty wild. I just, sometimes you got to yell. Connor, smash that like button. Yeah, like and subscribe. I hope people enjoy this episode. If you're hanging out at the end and you are not a subscriber, we would love to have you at patreon.com/ID Club. We have a lot of great subscribers. Some of them get banned occasionally, but for the most part, they never get banned because we actually don't ban people. Jack, we're back.
We might.
We might. I guess. Let's
not like make that sound like a challenge.
That's true. That's true.
If I wake up and see like Nazi imagery tomorrow, we might ban people. So don't do that.
Don't post Nazi imagery inside of the Discord.
That's a rule. I don't know that it's in writing, but I'm making it a rule officially.
No Nazi imagery.
Yes.
What about talking about the half-cent sales tax? Can that get you banned from the I-80 Club?
You're right. That is why I about went nuts on my own show like I do on this show today.
Yeah.
But now that I have like live texters that I interact with during the show, I about did it what I have done in the comments here many, many times. And
your producer's trying to talk to you about Illinois football and you're just not paying attention to it. Because you're texting about the half-cent sales tax.
You mean Nate Rohr, the voice?
I meant like the news guy. I don't know, Jack. Just
producer.
Let the joke.
I don't have a producer.
Just let it go off your back.
I think we need to point out the differences in the hands we've been dealt in terms of our resources at the same company.
Unreal. This is absolutely unreal. All right, we're back on Saturday. No pods until then. But we're Keena's so funny, as always. Very, very funny.
Who's that? Who sounds like Superintendent Chalmers?
I don't know. It just made me laugh.
Oh, I thought that was a person. Okay.
We're back on Saturday, Jack. We'll have a Saturday morning coffee show, Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. I think by that point I'll have fleshed out my next column for Husker Max, so maybe we can talk about that a little bit more, though. I guess maybe people will just get really triggered. What the hell are we going to talk about? Everyone's just going to be mad for the next 5.5 months.
Let's just screw around for an entire show. I don't know.
All right, yeah. What do people want us to talk about? We haven't done a
chat sack.
Old school chat sack. That one will be behind the paywall. We can do some media stuff if people want us to.
Ooh, yeah.
We haven't talked media in forever.
We
haven't talked media in forever.
Wait, what happened? For like 20 minutes ago we did.
Oh, about Jacob versus Mitch?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Banks, what are you doing? All right, we got to go. Banks is in the closet.
Get the hell out of there, Banks.
I don't know what's in there. Banks, get in. Come here.
I'll do a DJ show Friday night, probably.
All right, there you go. There's like it's a sliding door closet. I don't know what he's doing back there. I don't have food, but I should probably say goodbye just to make sure that he's okay. All right, we'll be back on Saturday, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight on the I-80 Club. Bye-bye.
Make the heart.